Good morning, students. Again, I welcome you for a video session on service marketing class for the topic customer expectation and perception of services. So normally people know when we talk about services, they think too much. They expect a lot, and their views about the services also differ, and also they expect differ mean differ, even though if they're expecting different, no problem, but their expectation and views in their mind will be totally in a huge manner. So that is a very big problem in service sector. Related to that topic only we will be discussing about in today's video class. So what is actually customer service expectation? So it is a level of service desired by the customer. What level he will be thinking or he will be keeping in the mind. So it is the level of the service desired by the customer. Or in simple words, we can talk about it is the belief about the service that the customer expects to receive. So what is it? What about is having the belief about the service that the customer will be expecting to receive, and the expectation act as the reference points or standards for the service, or sorry, for the customers. So normally expectation act as he'll be, so when he is thinking of some expectations, he will be keeping it as a standard. Okay, that standard we will be getting, or that reference we will be keeping in the mind, and he will be thinking that this particular service we will be getting. That is what here we are talking about. Expectation act as the reference point or the standards for the customers. These are all the expectations they might be thinking about what they will be getting when they are enjoying the service. So what are all the next topic we see is in that same customer's expectation? The levels, what are all the various levels of customer satisfaction? What is the ideal? First one is ideal level of service. Second one is normal level of service. Then experience based expectation. Then acceptance level of expectation. Then adequate level of expectation. Then final thing is tolerable level of expectation. These are all the levels of various expectation that will be there in the topic today what we are going to discuss. So here we'll be seeing one by one what is actually the various levels. First one is ideal level of service. What it is this is actually the highest level of service which can be delivered, and customers do not expect this level of service because it is rarely it will be taking place very rarely. So it is the very highest level. If you pay high, no. So when you enjoy the service, when you are paying high, you will be enjoying. That is what we are discussing it as highest level of service which can be delivered, and the customers do not expect this level because it is taking place very rarely. A normal level of service means actually it is a level of service that everyone will be receiving it. And this level of service is a fair treatment. Simple word we have given here in this particular slide about normal level of service means, so every customer will be treated fairly. That is what actually normal level of service is. Then experience based expectation, it is connected with the past experience of the customers. Last time when we enjoyed this service, and this time also the customers will be expecting the same level of expectation from the company. If there is even a small change, no, so customer will not be satisfied. So if still if the satisfaction level is very high means okay, customer will accept. But if the satisfaction level is very low, then it will be a problem. So that expectation every time customer will be thinking in the mind, okay, this much service they are giving. So last time I enjoyed this, and now also if I'm going there, I'll be enjoying that particular service. Then acceptable level of expectation. This is okay, no problem. This is the okay level of service. Whatever the company is giving the service, customer accept it. This is what called as acceptable level of service, or a simple word we have given is this is okay level of service. Whatever they are providing us, we will enjoy it. That is actually acceptable level of service for each and everything. No? When you go for any restaurants, or when you go for any particular malls or theaters, if you go for theaters, if you are enjoying lots of service in the break time, so having the food there, but you'll be paying extra, that is different. So that will be, you will be happy. That is what actually the acceptance level of acceptable level of expectation is. And this is, in other words, you can simply tell it as this is the okay level of service. The next one is adequate level of expectation. So at least adequate means at least the minimum level of service the customer will be expecting. So because when they pay extra, no, so they'll be expecting at least the minimum level of service, and the service below this level will be causing the negative impact to the organization. So you can tell lots of examples. That is minimum level of service. If anybody else is not giving, normally next time no customer will be showing preference to that particular organization. It will be giving a negative impact. So if you are telling something about service, no, you should tell it clearly, and what is it customers will be getting. And if they want extra means, you should tell additional costs will be there. So only you should not tell anything well in advance. Preferable things only you should you should show in that menu, or whichever the advertisements, whichever if you're telling, no, you should tell it clearly. And then tolerable level of expectation, it is the most minimum level of service which one can tolerate for the first time. So please underline the word for the first time. So first time means they will tolerate, but second time and third time if it is being repeated, nobody will be tolerating. So normally, so this service marketing subject itself, you please understand. So this is the actually you will be studying in the next slide about the zone of tolerance. Okay, it is the most minimum level of service which one can tolerate for the first time. At most, the final thing that is only for the first time customers will be accepting. But for second time, third time, and all, nobody will be showing any accepting this tolerable level of expectations and all. You should understand. Please understand the tolerable level is accepted only for the first time. Whenever if any service is being missed for the customers means that that customer will be tolerating only for the first time. Okay, and that too if you go for resorts, no, you can see what are all the facilities they are giving, and even if they are missing one particular service, no, customers will question. And if they're telling, okay, next time it will not be repeated, you will accept it because it is tolerable level of expectation, so you will be accepting it. And that too, only for the first time. And next time, if you're going there, same words if it is repeated, people will be arguing. So that is what here the customer level of expectation is. There are actually uh, six, yes, totally six levels of expectation. And so broadly, service expectation can be classified as desired service expectation and adequate level of service expectation. So what is that a desired level? So it is a level of service that customers expect to receive, and also they'll be thinking in the mind that this service will be given by the company and we will be receiving it. That is what here talking about the mental expectation of customers, which they hope and wishes to receive the service whichever they have told in that particular menu or in any advertisements. So desired expectation people will be always having in the mind. It is a level of service. Please understand it is a level of service that the customers always expect to receive. And there will be next one is it will be that every time they'll be keeping in the mind this service we will be getting from the company side. And the adequate level of service, this is actually we have already discussed about in previous slide. So this is the level of service that the customer will accept. It is a minimum tolerable expectation acceptable to the customer for the first time. Okay, whenever the tolerable word is coming in services sector, so it is acceptable only for the first time. So it is a level of service that the customer will be expecting, minimum level of expectation, and that also the tolerable limit also will be there. So if you're going beyond that, customer will have a negative impact towards the organization. And zone of tolerance, actually it is a the zone of tolerance is actually the difference of gap between the desired services and the adequate services. What the adequate services is being provided and what the companies, uh, what the customers are thinking in the mind about their service, desired service. Actually, this is the it's a two-mark question, zone of tolerance. Wherever you go, people will be asking what is zone of tolerance means. It is the difference between adequate services and the desired service. So this is in between. This is called as zone of tolerance because people will be talking about desired service, what they are going to enjoy. They'll be keeping in the mind a lot, and when you go there, the adequate service only will be given. So the difference gap between the adequate service and desired service is called as the zone of tolerance. Okay, so this is what it is called as. The extent of variation the customers recognize and are willing to accept is called a zone of tolerance. So please understand what I told. The difference gap of adequate service and desired service is called zone of tolerance. Here, in other words, we are telling the extent of variation the customers recognize and are willing to accept. That is what here adequate service we are talking about, and are willing to accept. It is called as zone of tolerance. In zone of tolerance, the organization and customer play a win-win game. So please understand. So in the zone of tolerance, both the organization and the customers will be having a win-win game. Nobody will be losing here. Customer also will be happy that he has got an adequate service, and organization also, from their point of view, they will be thinking that they have given the service to the customer. Okay, service above the desired level, it will be providing lots of delight, and services below the adequate service, it will be creating a dissatisfaction. So when you are going below the desired level itself, adequate service itself, it is negative impact, that is dissatisfaction. And if you are giving above the desired level, what the customers are thinking, so customers will be having lots of delight. Okay, this is a main uh, concept in zone of tolerance, and talking about what are all the various sources of customer expectations. So what is the need actually? How they are having their customer is having their expectations a lot. One is actually based on their personal needs, and then personal service philosophy, then derived service expectations, then perceived service expectations and situational factors. So when you're talking about these things, no, personal needs, personal service philosophy, and desired service expectation, that it will be these three concepts will be combined with desired service, and perceived service alternative and situational factors will be talking under adequate service. So these are all predicted. Adequate service is predicted, and other things talking about here is explicit service promises, implicit service promises, and word of mouth communication and past experiences. These are all the various source of expectations. Customer expectation, really, if they need means okay, that and all you can give. So this is what we'll be seeing one by one. So personal needs. So it will be either their basic physiological, then social needs, psychological needs, then whether the degree of need determines the desired level of service. So here we have given an example. With high person with high degree of social and dependency need may have higher expectation of hotels ancillary services. So their ancillary services they'll be expecting a lot. So we here have given a hotel, but we can talk about their very much basic needs. What is it if you go to a particular restaurant or if you go to any hospital? What is the basic needs you will be looking into? So, like that, all they'll be talking in your personal needs. And personal service philosophy means actually it will be referring to the customer, underlying the general attitude about the meaning of service and proper conduct of service provider. So we can, from this example itself, we'll be talking about that the waiter should not keep customers waiting for longer than 15 minutes to take their orders. So when you're going for an hotel, so I'm not talking, please underline the word hotel when you're going for an or restaurant. When you're going for a restaurant, so you should not make the customers wait for more than 10 to 15 minutes. If they are waiting for more than 10 to 15 minutes for placing an order itself, then they will be dissatisfied. So personal service philosophy is that only it will be underlying a general attitude about the meaning of service and the proper conduct of service providers. Here, service provider means talking about the waiters in the restaurant. They are the service providers. Depends upon the organization. If you go for hospitals, so the service provider is doctors or service providers, then nurses are there, then housekeeping are there. Everybody are service providers. Depending upon the service industry, it will be varying. And then talking about derived service expectation. So when you go for any restaurants for celebrating the birthday, why you are selecting that particular hotel? Because you will be thinking that they'll be having different menus to satisfy their friends. That is what here it refers to the expectations driven by other person or group of people. You will be thinking that this is the service they are giving by the particular hotel to enjoy. Birthday means okay, people will be thinking that we should go to the particular hotel because they provide different varieties of menu and they give different varieties of fun activities for birthday program. Like that, all people will be thinking, and then this is what we have talked now in that adequate service expectation. These sources have short-term influence. Please underline the word short-term influence and tend to fluctuate more than the factors that influence desired service actually. So it will be fluctuating every time because it depends upon the situation and also the perceived service alternatives. So what is perceived service alternatives is it refers to other service providers from whom the customer can obtain service. So it is very easy here to tell about that. So it will be referring to the other service providers from whom the customer can get really the service. If anybody else is not there, people will be thinking about oh, okay, who will be talking about the other service who will be giving to the customers. Then the higher the perceived service alternatives, higher will be the adequate service expectation, and also it is vice versa. So the perceived service alternatives, no, if it is higher it will be the adequate service expectation and vice versa. So here we are talking about the perceived service is higher means if it is alternatives, and adequate service expectations also will be somewhat differing and also it will be vice versa. And situational factors, mostly situational factors, here we'll be talking only about uncontrollable factors. It depends upon the situation and also talking about lower adequate service expectation. It's purely based on the situational factors. It is not depending on it is a uncontrollable. You cannot predict it. In here it is there short term personal situational factors. Example, sometimes it will be there of personal emergency situation. So medical emergency, every time we'll be having a immediate attention should be there. So it will be raising the higher adequate service expectation from the service provider because it is actually where people will be expecting high when you're going for in hospitality industry. And then talking about predicted service, so it will be referring to the level of service that customer believe they are likely to get for a particular time. So when you enjoying the service, you will be thinking that this service will be getting for this particular stipulated time, and also it will be expecting that customers predict they'll be talking about good service. Their levels of adequate service are likely to be higher than if they predict poor service. So if customers they are predicting they'll be getting good service, but their levels of adequate service are likely to be higher than if they predict poor service. Sometimes if they think that it will be poor service, they will be getting poor service, but they are getting adequate service. So that itself people will be enjoying. And this is what we are talking in the slides about here. I'll show that the slide which you already seen. This slide only we are talking this right hand side corner only. Explicit service promises, implicit service promises, word of mouth communication, past experience only. That information only we'll be talking now. So explicit service promises means it involves both the personal and non-personal statements about the service made by the organization to the customers. Okay, so it will be done through any advertisements, brochures, pamphlets, or any information which is being displayed outside the hotel. Everything we can talk about in explicit service promises. So that is what here both personal and non-personal statements. So non-personal means advertisements, pamphlets, brochures, everything will be coming. Personal means sometimes if you're displaying outside the organization, the service we are giving, that itself will be coming under personal survey for explicit promises. And implicit service promises, talking about it involves both the price and physical evidence. Then it will also talking other than explicit promises that leads to inferences about what the service should and will be alike. So we'll be talking about mostly the price and the physical evidence. Implicit means nobody will be talking about here about the brochures, advertisement and all. They'll be talking only about the price and the physical evidence, and it will be talking about other than explicit promises. So word of mouth communication normally, even for you enjoy any service, you come and share with your friends, then your neighbors, then you're talking about with your colleagues, everything, and it will be totally of unbiased. If you enjoy, you'll go and tell that it is a very good place. If you don't enjoy, you will go and talk about you will be talking about negative things about that. So that is what here talking about. They are independent and it is fully unbiased communication made by the parties other than the organization. Please underline the word other than the organization. So that is what here we are talking about is it is fully of unbiased communication made by the parties other than the organization. And then past experience. So how what really the customer have enjoyed in the previous visits to the organization, and according to that same thing they will be expecting this time also. Previous experience of customer influences that the desired and predicted service expectation, what he has decided and what he has predicted about the service expectation you should give because he has enjoyed it last time, and same thing he will also be expecting this time also. And the next topic is about customer perceptions. So here customer perception is that so customer perception is that it is to realize, feel, understand, or to experience. So that is what here perception is, to realize, and also you should feel, understand, or to experience it. And it is a process of systematic organization and interpretation of an experience. So it is here we are talking about it is a systematic organization and interpretation. So how you are sharing the experience. Sometimes if you are enjoying, no, the way you tell to somebody, no, really people will enjoy it. How you are interpreting your experience. And the perceptions are always considered relative to expectations. Normally your views, so you might be thinking will be very good, and if you go there, the same thing you are enjoying. That also it will be totally relative to expectations. So always, so when we keep something in mind, when you go and see there, if you are enjoying that thing, so normally we relate it to expectations, and it is also called as the quality of service received by the customer. And service encounters or the moments of truth or the building blocks of customer perceptions. So this is actually the building blocks we are talking about, the moments of truth, service encounters or the moments of truth or the building blocks of the customer expectations. So here expectation means encounters will be having about perception, either positive or negative. Positive means will be having satisfaction, negative means dissatisfaction. And what is the quality gap? So we should find out what is a positive and what is a negative. So in this between talking about is the quality gap where we are missing. So service encounters are called or it is also called as the moment of truth. So these are building blocks of the customer perceptions where starting from expectation, then talking about encounters, what are the encounters when you go to the place you will be enjoying moments of truth on the spot, and then perception about that it will be either positive or negative. Then positive means satisfaction and negative means dissatisfaction you will be having. And the next topic is actually customer satisfaction. So satisfaction is the consumer's fulfillment response. It is also a judgment the product or service feature or product or service itself provides a pleasurable level of consumption related fulfillment. So simple words we can talk about satisfying the consumer's fulfillment. That's what, and it will be talking about the customer's fulfillment of desire or expectation. It also it will also talk or it will be talking about a customer's positive evaluation towards organizations, product or service. So it refers customer satisfaction means it will always be evaluating towards organization, positive evaluation towards organization, products or service. So, okay, this is actually the customer satisfaction. So customer perceptions of service quality and service satisfaction. So we always depend on five factors here: reliability, responsiveness, assurance, empathy, and tangibles. So here also same thing we have talked about in customers' expectations. No, so we also will be talking about situational factors, customer expectation, personal factors, and before that we'll be talking about service quality, product quality, and price. So that only it will be combining with situational, customer, and personal factors. So talking about reliability here, what are the dimensions of service quality means? First dimension is about reliability. So whether we are having the ability to perform the promised service. Okay, we should have actually ability to perform the promised service. Okay, dependently or and accurately, dependably and accurately. You should give that whatever we are telling him, we should give it accurately. It means company delivers on its promises about delivery, problem solving, pricing, etc. If etc. means if anything, whatever the points you have covered in that pamphlet, you should tell. Then responsiveness. So if there is any issues, you should go and respond. Willingness to help customers and provide prompt service. If sometimes if you are neglecting, no, it will be showing a negative impact. Then every time you should talk about assurance, about employees' knowledge and courtesy, and their ability to inspire trust and confidence. Every time you should assure employees about the knowledge about the product or services which they are going to pass to the customers. So here, because very good example we have given is insurance, brokerage, everything. Today, one person will come and tell one thing, and tomorrow somebody else will be coming and telling this service is not there for insurance. That and all it should be avoided. So assurance should be given. So in my personal experience, I have told to one of my student who is working in Kotak Mahindra, he told to invest in Kotak Mahindra insurance. But I told that I have some experience in Bajaj Alliance, so that I showed. I was talking about negative angle of Bajaj Alliance, so I am not interested to invest in Mahindra Kotak insurance also. But that assurance, if you should give to the employees that this is not like that, or you should encourage. So empathy is that getting inside the empathy is that getting inside the somebody else's shoes. So somebody else's shoes means you should take care. If anybody is having the same problem, the customer is having the problem means you should directly take care or individualized attention should be given to customers. That is what in the training programs, when we go there, empathy means you should get into somebody else's shoes, then only you will be knowing what problems they are facing. That is actually called empathy. Really giving full attention to the customers and what really the problems they are facing. And tangible means appearance of physical facilities, equipment, personal and communication materials. Everything it should be clear when you're talking about physical appearance, because you will be easily caught when if anything is tangible means. Okay, so it should be very clear about this customer satisfaction. These are all the determinants: customer value and cost, and product and service features, consumer emotion, and customers' judgment of causes or events, and perception of equity or fairness, and follow consumers or group members' behavior. These are all the determinants of customer satisfaction. If you want to find out the customer satisfaction level means these are all the determinants actually. Customer value and cost, then talking about product and service features, then consumer emotion, customer judgment of cause or events, perception of equity or fairness, then follow consumers. These are all the various determinants of customer satisfaction. Then outcomes. When you go for determinants, no, normally the outcomes of customer satisfaction will be their quality of life of customer. You will be having very good quality. You will be giving very good quality life to the customer for their service. Then you will be having very good customer loyalty. Word of mouth will be in a positive manner and support the growth and continuity of business. Then market price and better economic environment will be there for both the customers and also the company. So this is actually the outcomes of customer satisfaction. So when any customer is satisfied, these are all the outcomes. So with this we conclude a second unit, students. So up to the second unit, we'll be having various assignments and other modules for to know the knowledge level of you. So with this, I conclude this particular session. And next session, we'll be talking about a new topic. Thank you, students.